Viewer discretion is advised. I don't know how it happened, nor do I know what I did to deserve something like this to happen to me. But it did. I was just minding my own business, walking through the metropolitan area of Tokyo. All of a sudden, everyone vanished, and the world around me took on a deep red hue. Confused and scared, I looked for the closest thing to normal I could find, which happened to be a candy shop of all places. Inside, even the contents of the store had that bloody red color too. The liquid candies, on the other hand, took on a deep black color that resembled squid ink. I slumped against the counter and pondered what I would do, or could do, to escape this place. My decision was made for me, however, when a woman opened the door to the store. She had long black hair that nearly reached the floor, and clawed hands that were stained crimson, darker than the world around me. Her mouth was covered by a surgical mask that failed to cover up the scars that must have extended out from her lips. The next thing she did was remove said mask, revealing 2 sets of razor-sharp teeth. She then smiled, I think. It was hard to tell considering that her mouth reached her ears. Dozens of scars extended outwards from her lips. Her gaze was completely locked onto me when she was approaching me, easily towering over me as well. "Am I pretty?" she asked. Stupefied by this question, I reflexively answered with a quick no. Stupid mistake on my part. The next thing I knew, my eardrums burst. She let out a horrifying shriek that brought me to the ground in pain and terror. The last thing I remembered as I clutched my bleeding ears was looking up to see a clawed hand closing in on my neck. I was positive I'd been decapitated as the world blurred on by and my head rolled on the ground. But no sooner did my head stop rolling than I returned back to Tokyo, the real Tokyo. I quickly clutched my throat and patted my body wildly as people watched on. How I survived and where I went? Hell if I know. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-6979. SCP-6979, also known as Night Parade of a Single Demon, is a humanoid entity that resembles a ghost by all appearances, with a mutilated face and exceptionally long claws. 6979 itself lives in a separate yet connected dimension to our own. Many may know 6979 by her most famous moniker, the slit-mouthed woman. However, 6979 only takes on this form in order to feed on belief from humanity so as to continue her own existence. She can feed on this belief in her by either killing or frightening her prey, summarily causing others to believe in and fear her. However, due to an agreement with the Foundation, all deaths and attacks associated with 6979 have ceased. The dimension that 6979 originates is called Memonokai, designated as SCP-6979-1. This place appears to be an exact replica of Japan, except for a few characteristics that stand out. All light within the dimension is a dark shade of red. All grounds are covered in soot, all liquids are black, and all electronic devices are damaged unless connected to a power source upon entry into the dimension. The actual extent to how much of Japan is recreated here is unknown. The only method to get into Memonokai is to dematerialize and rematerialize into it by being in contact with 6979. Apparently, there are portals that grant access to this dimension, but they are currently inactive due to some sealing rituals the Foundation has yet to decipher. Furthermore, the other inhabitants that exist within 6979-1, collectively referred to as SCP-6979-2. Well, that's the designation they would have been given if they hadn't all been exterminated by the Imperial Japanese Anomalous Matters Extermination Agency, or IJAMEA, during the 1930s. It is for that reason that 6979 is now the sole inhabitant of Memonokai. An operation was carried out to determine 6979's sentience. The plan was to send a D-Class to an area as bait, and to ask the entity questions. 12 agents were stationed around the area should the situation go awry. When 6979 appeared, the D-Class proceeded with the prepared questions. However, 6979 appeared guarded and then began to demanifest. As if a sudden surge of courage overcame him, the D-Class reached out and grabbed its hand. Together, they vanished and reappeared in 6979-1. The D-Class regained consciousness and noticed that his surroundings were tinted red. Still on the ground, he looked up and screamed when he saw 6979, who was now dressed in a traditional ritual white kimono, with much longer hair and sharp claws instead of hands. Its mouth had been turned vertically, now extending from where its right eye used to be, down to its chin and neck and into its chest, disappearing under its kimono. Its left eye seemed to have partially morphed with its right one into a single organ. The umbrella it carried was made of red paper with several holes in it. "Oh my God, please, spare me." 6979 tilted its head, then crouched and stared at him directly.
"Leave, now."
Its gaze remained fixed on the still trembling D-Class. "Oh, for sure, I'll do that, if you'll just tell me where the exit is." But 6979 only lifted its claw and said,
"There is no exit but death."
"Oh, let's not do that then." 6979 lowered its claw.
"Why have you come here? Who sent you?"
"Me coming here wasn't part of the plan. My, government was trying to stop you from killing people on, the other side."
"Am I a monster to be stopped now? For mere dozens of lives?"
"Yes, even a single life is—"
"Don't you dare reproach me for what your filthy ill cause. Bad deeds are punishments themselves. Nay, to say 100 victims as punishment for your actions would be an insult to the suffering you've inflicted upon my world."
The D-Class was dumbfounded, so he remained silent.
"Judging from your reaction, you probably don't know what the people from your world did to mine. Very well, I'll tell you. I need you to know, else my pain, the pain of my people, would be not forgotten. Come, walk with me."
6979 turned around and the D-Class followed. Together, they walked past many dilapidated houses.
"I've been suffering for many years now, wandering aimlessly through the burnt remains of what I called home. Only by taking on the identity of a murderous beast in your realm was I able to survive."
Soon, they arrived at an empty lot with a building made of concrete.
"You see, this place? This was built by your government, your empire, when they came to conscript us. It was actually made by us. Because why would the Imperial Army sully their hands with hard labor?"
6979 pointed towards an empty crate with the phrase "Property of the Empire of Great Japan" and the logo of IJAMEA.
"This is where we were trained by your people to fight for your emperor. They used us as weapons against some foreign countries that I don't even remember the names of. And so, they demanded absolute obedience in the fear of us betraying them out on the battlefield. Believe me when I say that they got what they asked for. Scores of us were sent out to the battlefield in your world, only to die within days. Eventually, after everyone but a handful of us were left, the Emperor realized that everything they did with us was nothing but a waste of time. Thousands of us dead, only to be thought of a minor waste of time and resources by an uncaring tyrant. Still, why waste anything? So, they sent the rest of us out to die for the glory of their empire. Only I survived after faking suicide. Looking like a bloodied-up corpse made it easy. Look at me.
I'm sorry. I had no idea. If it's any consolation, I believe the age of imperialism is now over. I'm sure.
We tried to fight back, of course, using powers of magic, brute force, and even the unbridled fury of those you consider deities. In the end, we failed against the might of the Emperor's imperial soldiers. Oh, how they slaughtered us with their weapons, causing many of us to give up on the fight before it really started. After all, what use is control over lightning if 2 well-placed bullets can snuff out your life?
They remained silent for a moment. I'll make sure I let our people know. I promise.
As I wish to be alone with my thoughts. Very well. Again, there's only one way to return to your world from this place. Death.
6979 lifted its claw in the air.
I'll make it as painless as I possibly can. You deserve this much.
That's not really that comforting.
I tried. Ready?
The D-Class inhaled sharply and closed his eyes as he stilled himself. Sure. Why not? Better sooner than... 6979 swiped its claw at his neck, decapitating him in one clean cut. Before his head touched the ground, the D-Class faded into nothingness and reappeared back in his reality. After hearing the report, the Foundation set to work on unlocking and fixing the portals to Momonokai. It appears that the blocked portals are what had been forcing 6979 to come to our world to feed. In doing so, they would be able to offer 6979 some comfort in all that it had lost. With the portals finally reopened, 6979 no longer needed to feed on humanity's beliefs any further. When asked why that was, she didn't answer and only smiled instead.